Hey, I'm back. Okay, so if you were here in part one, God bless you and thanks, thank you. I was doing my best with my lovely Mercury and Pisces. I really do have to make peace with that Mercury and Pisces, though, all over the place, right? But I'm sorry, guys. Pulling in all these energies and expressing them and doing our best out here. But anyway, thank you so much to our channeling guides who are probably just trying to help me to get it all out. So anyway, if you were here before, thank you so much for joining us. What we were doing was we were looking at the seven spiritual laws and how they I can't remember. I was so in the zone. And how they reflect back to you your belief, your self-consciousness, and your self-concept, your belief in self, right? So just to super duper recap, long story short, the reality is that everything is one. But here in this physical plane, you're going to be in a fragmented slash separated slash 1% of the whole. So there's nothing wrong with that. You're just one perspective of all that is, just like I'm one perspective. And because of that, you are so beautifully unique because without you and your respective, all that is would technically be incomplete. In other words, all these other people out here, if they're for reals about trying to really learn and understand themselves and love and be about loving God and stuff, they would love to hear from you. They want to see your expression. They want to, see you. They want to hear you. They want to look at your art. They want to follow you. They want to whatever it is, because there's something about you that nobody else in all of creation has. And if we have to put that into ones and zeros or some extra long mathematical formula, and I hear that the universe is actually mathematical, but anyway, you would probably match up with, a lot of people except a lot of other beings in creation, except one number, one value, right? So because you're one value, everybody is just like shards that come back together to the one. All right, you're the spark of the divine. And so you owe it to creation to be what? Yourself. God bless you. But to be your best self. You can't be your best self when you're out here following low thoughts, low frequency expressions, harsh, unempathetic, lacking in compassion, self serving, all of this stuff that just makes you want to, ugh. How could you run your life? How could you use your precious free will choice that is a gift from God? You're only ever choosing one or two. Look at her. One or two, light or shadow, love or fear. That's it. It's all you're ever doing on this planet. But the agreement was that here you are down here, and you will be presented by everything. Everything you see in your world, whether it's like, should I get up and go take a drive? Should I sit here? Oh, I'm gonna turn on TV. What am I gonna watch? Or okay, let's watch news. Which one? Oh, okay, let's play an instrument. Which one? You're just having choices, left and right, left and right, right and left, left and right. Many of these choices are much harder to make. They're so hard to make that they actually don't seem like a choice. Well, Jay, the bullet was actually, aimed at me. Yeah, we get it, right, right. But these are things that your soul had discussions about before you came in. Everyone wants to be God's strongest warrior, whatever the terms are, right? And that all of that, those are just euphemisms anyway. Semantics. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty. You are what? In reality, you are so magnificent, so amazing. You're absolutely worth it. You're not lacking in anything. There is nothing that you could want when you're in your right mind that is not provided for you. And when we talk about right mind, we mean love, wholeness. That's what provision is. Provision means I have everything I need. Because what? I am. That is the recognition that you are what? Source. You are source. Everything you see around you is source energy. The problem is, wait a minute, but Jay, yeah, the problem is you believe, just like the rest of creation at this point, we all believe that we are not source. We're in this hypothetical space of becoming different things, trying different bodies, incarnating here, incarnating there, floating around. I'll be a rock today, I'll be this tomorrow, whatever. For the sake of what? Experience, reflection. Source is enjoying itself. You are source. You are a spark of the divine. And in your long existence, you're having a temporary embodied experience where? Planet Earth. Doing what? Learning. It's an Earth school. What are you learning to do? It's simple. Self-accept. Self-love. That is another way of saying, know thyself, because to know you is to love you. It is another way of remember who you are. It is another way of, hey man, I am, right? It is the recognition of self that you have forgotten. And that's what everyone in creation is moving back towards doing. But here on this planet, in this time and space, we are all part of a collective experiment. Yay! A collective experience. Yay! And believe it or not, it is a privilege to be on this earth. A lot of you may be like, bump you, Jay. Or maybe you won't. Maybe you'll be like, some of you may be like, oh, I had a dream about this yesterday. Oh, I overheard this concept the other day, right? Whether or not you did, it is a privilege to incarnate here on this planet because of what is going on the planet right now. And I'm not talking about, oh, look at the news. I am not talking about that. I know it's hard for a lot of people to separate themselves from what they're seeing projected through their TVs and in their communities and just whatever. But you must have an inviolate space for the self. Otherwise, you're running crazy. You're outside of yourself. And as we were discussing in the last video, there is only self. So let's go back to this conversation about the 7 laws, right? 7 laws of the universe bind every aspect of the universe. It is how the universe works. And it is an important step to understanding that you're not just some rando human body. No, you are part of a larger universe of beings. You are part of a whole galaxy. You are part of a solar system. You are a part of multiple dimensions. You are a part of many aspects of creation. These are things that you are not aware of if you just follow blindly the laws of man here on this planet. Because I don't think I need to tell you that all you need to do is look around and see the ashes of false perception, losing structure. The amount of people who are unplugging from these false ideologies, from the hate, from the anger, from the division, from the stress, from the enemy making, from the harsh policies, from the ridiculous philosophies when you actually study a lot more. The number of people removing their consciousness and unplugging from these thoughts, these concepts, are becoming so large that you are literally seeing these structures crumble around you. And the people who are trying to hold on to it because that was their world. That's their world. They are going to struggle, right? You cannot hold on to structures that are falling away. Now, these structures that are falling away, you can never get rid of love and loving structures, loving thoughts, loving beliefs. You can cover them over. Sure. You can drown them out. Look at what we've done to ourselves. You can do that so much that you forget them over lifetimes, but you cannot get rid of it because it is reality. This entire universe is built on love, period. That is the reality of consciousness. Everything is love. And that's what we refer to as creation. But if you are making things from fear, all you're doing is you're making things. And they may enjoy a little life, quote unquote, here in this world, like, oh, someone's making a business, but then you find out later that it's been just hurting people and it's this source of pain. God has nothing to do with that. And in fact, if you try to look at that structure beyond the astral plane, you may see its astral body counterpart, the structure of that business or the structure of the building or the structure of the people and all this, the words they're using to structure, because all of this, you could see it in the astral, right? But listen, those structures are not real. They don't go up in higher frequencies. They can't exist in the higher frequencies because there's too much light. It's false. And so when you are working, when you are alchemizing yourself, because some of you are coming from the discipline of, it's all discursive, right? If you're looking at things from, oh, I would like to do inner alchemy and a shift into then we'll use terms of alchemical stuff. If you're coming from religious things, you can use maybe some other terms, the salvations and all this and that. And if you're coming from maybe atheist or whatever, I don't know what you would use, but maybe talk about setting your intentions and complementing of a discipline and whatever we want to talk about, however we want to talk about it. The point is that it's time to shift. As I said, it's time to shift. I could feel like some of the energies under some of your feet being cut, which is good, untethering. What we're untethering is false connections. You're connecting through your belief system, through your thoughts, through your attention, through your focus to things that are not real. They were just powered and charged by the attention people give to it. But these structures, they're already on their way out. And so for those of you who are still observing, using your mind and your conscious mind and your hours in your beautiful day to keep observing things that are already on their way out and they're so low in frequency, it's time to unplug. It's time for you to have your shift into what? Into focusing on you. Who are you? Like we said, and that's where we were talking about your laws. In the age of the spiritual law that binds the entire universe, and humans we're new on the block. We're still trying to learn, but we're coming out from under the thumb of doctrine, and we don't need to go into why we've been under the thumb of these doctrines, but just understand that they're not for you. Okay? Now, your potential in this age of Aquarius is amazing, because more than any other age on this planet, because you're evolving, you're finally stepping into your birthright. In the age of Pisces, we had the gurus, we had the religious leaders, we had people talking to us about, the mystery schools and the occultist things and all these things about duality and just everything, trying to get you to understand things, but it just makes things more confused. You weren't meant to follow. Now, we had to go through a lot of the polarity and a lot of the darkness. That's why they call the age of Pisces the dark age, the shadows, right? The deception. And in fact, we understand, those of you who study astrology, we understand the 12th house to be, woo, okay? hidden enemies. It's the deception energy. It's the addictions. It's the unconscious, the subconscious. It's all that stuff. But what you do now is you emerge from that shadow by recognizing, oh, that's not me. And for some of you, you'll even recognize there's a better way. No matter what that conversation looks like with yourself, it comes back to you. And the missing link that I would like to let you guys know, as far as from what I can see, is the understanding of energy. Everything is energy. You're not your body. So stop listening to the old learnings of this last age, which want to keep you in the body and out of the creative space. You cannot create at the level of the physical. You just respond and you fulfill making a carbon copy of a concept that was made or created in the non-physical. And so when you watch all these news things and when you are, being in certain environments and low vibrations and feeding certain energies in your life, in your own families, in your friendships, all you're doing is feeding a structure that will keep you at a low frequency. But your point today is to get back to you, to elevate yourself, to liberate your mind. That's the only way to do it. You have to go into your self-concept, as we talked about, in a roundabout manner. I'm sorry. I'll have to explain it a little better in the future. But you go to your self-concept and you understand that when it comes to the laws of the universe, the one law is everything is consciousness. In this physical plane, this one law has been separated into 7 laws so that we can consume it, so that we can understand it, so that we can embody it. Embodiment is the gift of the physical plane. And so when you look at the 7th law, which corresponds to that beautiful crown chakra that you have, it is your I am. You must be mindful of what you believe to be true about yourself. And this requires deep-seated work, because if you are not aware of your shadows, you can shout up and down. You can do as many moon boards. You can bury anything under the moonlight, whatever your process is. It cannot beat your dominant belief about yourself. So the 7th law tells you, the 7th law of mentalism tells you that whatever you believe to be true about yourself is what you will experience in your world. That is what is molecularizing, to slow that down there, your world. That's what's creating the form, because look at her as she's believing things, and you're just pure consciousness. So you're always believing things, just straight up. You're just a beacon, like womp, womp. That's all you're doing. And it's being received by what? The universe. The universe does not listen to your words. It doesn't care about anything but the vibration that you're sending out, your thoughts, your beliefs, and it is returning it back to you, because as far as the universe is concerned, you are God, you are source, and what you what you say as a sovereign being is what you're going to have filled by the universe. So if you don't like what you're seeing, you must understand you got to do the deep dive. And this is what we talk about when we talk about hijacking someone's consciousness. And all these terms that people say, oh, enslaving mankind to create and make structures on the planet. This is all it is. Hey, if we want to make money, you can do it as a regular person, or even institutions. I'm gonna let that go right now, but if you want something and you understand how to work with energy, easy. You just get that person who you can see they have a lot of beautiful energy around them. They're gifted with the ability to pour forth and all of this, and you see that in somebody. All you need to do is get them to believe something about themselves, which is that your will is over theirs. It's a social contract, right? The social contract. You get them to believe that for whatever reason, they have to serve you in some way or help you or it's their duty to be obedient to you. They must give their money to you. They must give their time to you. They must give their attention to you. They must give your allegiance to you. They must worship you. They must defend you. All of this is you just working on the consciousness of somebody else, and the spiritual karmic retribution for that, I don't even want to be around to see it. Okay? That is manipulation at deep levels when you do that to the mind of people. So when you're working with the minds of people, if you're working to liberate them, and you're doing that by allowing them to have their choice, reminding them that they're safe to engage, that they can choose without repercussion, these are beautiful ways, and that they're loved no matter what. Where are you finding that in the world today? You have to be that for yourself. That's freedom. Not, oh, I have a belief and I can't say it because my family's going to hate me, my community, and all the, and now I'm drinking myself, to sleep because no, this is literally the destruction of the God within. Now, you cannot destroy the God within, but you sure can cover it over. And that carries heavy karmic prices. And so if you're hearing this today, I doubt you're doing that to other people, but you want to be mindful. But the point is, if you're experiencing your own mindset so plugged into somebody else's that you hear something and now you feel you have to, get out there and do this and that, or it makes you crumble apart, or you can't see structures outside of you, people outside of you as your sustenance. The sustenance has to stop in that way. The sustenance comes from you. From what? The source within, the God within, the spark of the divine, the inner covenant, whatever you want to say, your beautiful lily in your mind. I don't know, right? It doesn't matter, because these are just words used to describe something that mankind, we struggle out here, okay? So you have to guard your consciousness. Always remember, you cannot make a sovereign being do anything except forget that it is sovereign. It's called the social contract. And if you're hearing this message, you don't have to live that way anymore. Whatever you think you have a duty to look at or do or be, or whether it's just I have a duty to defend this property, whatever it is, unplug. Because I can guarantee if you sat down and you thought about it, who gave you that responsibility? What has it cost you? Right? Because everything that you're believing that you are obligated to do, or that all of this stuff can be boiled down to a self concept. That is your I am statement. So your first task, and it's a big one. And take your time. God bless, God bless. We're out here. We have multiple lifetimes, but this is a good time right here. Everyone and their mother literally wants to be on the planet Earth at this time to take advantage of this shift. I would invite you to really do your due diligence to understand your self-concept and to exercise your free will to choose what you'd like to be. And I'm not saying, oh, you can't label me, and don't even get into all that stuff, because you don't even know your real name. Source has no name. It's probably just like what Om, right? Right. So while you're out here fighting battles with people about things they can't even speak on about you, wasting time. Get into your mindset, drop the victim consciousness, believe in yourself again, and then come up for air. And from that place of wholeness, as best as you can in your mindset, then you engage with the world, because you will see the world differently. Right now, from a fractured state of self, the I am consciousness, fractured state of self-concept, where you're still being motivated by something you learned a long time ago, and structuring your world on laws and rules and this and that again will change when you just go to the next city or the next country, or change by generation. Every generation, we're fighting about something. People literally pick up arms to fight ideologies in a generation. Then the next generation comes and they're like, now it's not even illegal anymore. And, like, what are we doing? Right? And so get clear on your self-concept, do your shadow work, look out in the world and understand what you're seeing and do your due diligence. What can I glean about myself from this? And then, very importantly, what decision can I make in terms of moving forward with a more healthy sense of self? And that, imagine this cute little ball above your head, self-concept. That is what moves out into the world and creates the world you see. Now it's a work in progress, so you understand, because this is just the time period we're in, but you understand that having a healthy concept of self sets you in the right direction towards freedom, liberation, love, acceptance, belonging, freedom of expression for everybody, inclusivity, right? Creativity, innovation in service to higher energies, and it shifts you out from where you're already looking now, right? And on top of that, it promotes great health and well-being, because the I am state of being is what creates or directs your physical body and how healthy it is, and how your nervous system runs, and how, because actually, for some of you who don't know, the chakras are just metabolizing universal energy. So when, because they're cute little openings in your body, right? In your energy body. So when energy of source gets pulled into your body, that subtle energy gets pulled in, and that is what makes the impression upon your nervous system, upon your glands and all of that, to then do certain hormones and to release certain things and this and that. So a lot of people in the medical world, because they're only working in the physical level, they're finding causes and effects within the physical body, when the reality is that the actual cause is in another level of the field. And boom, it's impressed upon the etheric level, which bleeds into the physical body and produces the physical body and its functionings, its neurotransmitters and all that stuff. And it's not helpful when we don't live in alignment with spiritual law, with source, with a healthy I am consciousness, and then we do things that are out of alignment, like polluting the earth and hurting people and depriving them of food and all sorts of stuff, because then that further impacts the physical body. So when you start to really understand how important energy is and how important your self-concept is, you'll start to realize, holy moly, boly, I don't know, holy moly cannoli, I better go and sit somewhere right now and have a nice glass of water and think about myself. Where's the Bodhi tree? Do you? I don't know what tree you need, but think about yourself and come up with a better definition of self than you've been working with, understanding that what you've been working with has been slipped in there without you knowing, because you haven't been paying attention. Not just you, all of us. Me too, me too. And this is not an overnight thing. This is the work we came here to do. We came here to work on these things, to cultivate it. And again, a lot of souls want to have this embodied experience because it's faster learning, because of the densities here. Faster learning than on the other side, right? So we're here. And remember, whatever that self-concept is, that I am that you have in this, according to this seventh law, which is the law of mentalism. Everything that you believe about yourself is the world you will make and create for yourself outside of you. The second law, again, the law of correspondence at the third eye, says everything you see outside, what you perceive of what you see, is going to be based upon your belief. You believe that you're a victim when you look outside in the world, all you see is your victimhood, period. And if you're not seeing your victimhood, because maybe you see yourself living the high life, you may see victimhood in a lot of other people. Like, oh, they're doing through this, but I'm living well, but I'm witnessing this outside. Yeah, it's all you, right? So you will see what you believe, is what the law of correspondence says. In order to really heal that, understand that you have to expand your consciousness in your I am, expand your mindset, become more inclusive, look around you and look for evidence to the contrary of whatever you believe you've been believing. You believe the world is going to hell in a handbasket? Look around, there's love everywhere. Why? And you ask yourself, why am I tuning in to the lower stuff? Well, that's because your sense of self, your self concept, is more focused on the lower stuff. It wants to see the division. And you have to, that's a conversation you have to have with yourself. Then you will start to look at your third law, law of vibration. You will start to understand, oh, everything that I've been receiving in terms of high vibe, like, whoa, I went to this party, low vibes much, right? Or high vibes or high quality of frequency of something, or low quality of frequency, all that stuff. Why do I always get the bums? Why do I? Yeah, I'm just saying. Everyone has a friend who has that, right? Every time I go looking for a new house, I end up getting screwed out of my money and this and that. But this person always gets good luck. Yeah, start looking at the vibration that you're putting out into the world and that you've been putting out in other lifetimes, right? Because we do have, repercussions of stuff. So it gets you to the third law, that law of vibration gets you to observe the vibration you're putting out. You don't like what you're experiencing? Understand that you're putting something out that is of equal vibration, or you have put something out that was of equal vibration based on what? Your belief system, your self-concept. So change your self-concept, you'll see something different. By way of law of correspondence, you'll experience higher vibrations and higher frequency interactions, experiences, ownership of things, all sorts of stuff in life, because it will reflect a higher state of consciousness. You will feel better about life. You will have desires in the heart space for things that are better for you, that are more in alignment with your higher self. You will naturally flow in alignment with flow. You won't be experiencing as much resistance in your life about your money. The money will flow to you. Your abundance will flow to you. Finding new friends that actually love and care and disprove the idea that no one finds friendships as adults will all happen for you. You'll people will be like, dude, you must be the luckiest person. Well, I'm just flowing with time, yeah, because guess what? That law of rhythm. You're observing your cycles. If you respect your need to sleep and your need to rest, guess what? You're going to find jobs. You're going to find people out there who respect your need for that as well. So if you are having friendships and connections with people who don't even let you talk, they don't let you express yourself, they're mean to you, they're rushing you all the time, they're just reflecting back to you that space for for love, that space for expression, that space for your natural flow that you give to yourself. And you will know if you're giving it enough of it to yourself or not. And it'll all be based on what? Your self-concept. Do you believe that you are someone who is worthy of a job that allows you to have a good work-life balance? And a lot of us, I know a lot of us are struggling with that one. Yeah. Because it takes time. And the heart chakra area is one that humanity is really needing to hone as a collective and individually in order to really step into the age of Aquarius. It's very important to really get in there. So when you know yourself, you love yourself. Self-acceptance, the I am, and I like it, right? is going to give you that self-respect, that allowance for yourself to be yourself and to flow in the way that you need, in your own cycles, in your own rhythms. No one's going to rush you because you want to take a nap today, right? That's that fourth law, that rhythm. And when you start to respect your own cycles, you will start to recognize and respect the cycles of the earth. The earth has its own cycles, right? And guess what? You will start to recognize and respect the cycles of others. As a parent, for example, you won't be like rushing your kid to do a certain thing to conform with something somewhere outside of him and some rule. If he says, wow, mom or dad, I really just need this day off. Yeah, okay. How can we make that happen? That's a respect there. Okay. I know obviously they just want 365 days off, but but my point is you want to hone that level. Because if you're not allowing, if you're having people overpower your own natural expression and cycle and timing in life, it's a reflection of what you're doing to yourself. And what you're doing to yourself is based on what you believe about yourself. Okay, moving then to the fifth law of the universe, which is the law of cause and effect. This aligns with the third chakra, which is our super cute solar plexus will center, right? The law of cause and effect pretty much says, hey man, you will receive the actions that you put out there. Hey, it might not have been this lifetime, but you will receive actions or even energies in kind. May not be the same action, but it will be the same severity, the same energy, the same whatever, good or bad, or enjoyable or not pleasurable, right? That you put out there, if not this lifetime, then other lifetimes. That's all it says. It's not anything about punishing. The universe isn't about that big P, it's not about punishing and all of that. That's the workings of man and their doctrines for control, right? Age of Pisces. That's not the universe. The universe isn't even speaking English. It's like what, right? And so it's just reflecting back to you because that's what the universe does. Because who are you? Your source. But you forgot. Your source having a temporary experience as a personality. It's cute. It's a perspective. Source is experiencing itself, its own consciousness, because everything is consciousness. Source is experiencing its own consciousness under the guise of a personality, one perspective, right? So it's a little meta, but we can do it. And so you are just playing with yourself in a very take that how you want it. But source is doing its thing, and so are you. And here you are in this physical space, having this temporary experience of reflection, but not on Mars, not out in the Sirius area, not out in somewhere else. You're here on Earth in this solar system, and you're experiencing it here on this planet, in this time, in this space. That's the perception that you're having, and that is the perspective, unique perspective that you are providing for yourself. But which self? The self here in this physical body? No. Boom. For all that is, for creation. Source. Okay? So you're awesome. It just doesn't feel like it here. So anyway, according to this fifth law of the universe, you will experience what you put out there. If you don't like the experience, learn from it. And it's something as simple as like, ouch, wow. Well, I won't, moving forward, I will do my best not to be that, right? To somebody else. Just do my best not to do it. If it's something awesome, like, wow, I really enjoyed that. Wow. Moving forward, you know what? I'd like to share that with other people. I'd like to be a force for something as wonderful as that, a source for something as wonderful as that. Free will. Now, again, you may have experiences, and this is a hard one. This law is a hard one because we're like, well, what childhood innocence, you know, when we start looking in past lifetimes, we gonna talk about that, right? And you have to understand that souls come in here and we have journeys that we're making that are very unique. We have agreements that we're making. And yes, there are definitely times when people go off script, you know, do all sorts of stuff because free will is a thing down here. As much as mankind is still trying to understand what that means, but I think a lot of that has to do with mankind not realizing that they have to start any conversation with where are they viewing from? What perspective are you using? You're using a perspective from this dimension, from this time, from this space, from this physical embodied experience. And by understanding that that's the perspective that you're viewing reality, you understand that it's very limited, especially if you're not even using your intuition and your metaphysical abilities. You're just out here with physical eyeballs and ears. That is literally blindness, right? And so you you really want to be mindful, what's my perspective? And then you understand if you're moving from a perspective of woundedness, a perspective of shadows that you haven't even looked at, a perspective of fear that you haven't even assessed yet, all sorts of stuff, right? That should give rise to a couple things. Number one, well, we can't judge. That's the first thing. And number two, like self-care and self-love. Like, man, I'm out here. I'm in the wilderness. I'm doing a great job. I'm doing my best, right? Yeah, look at my hands. They're like hers. Oh, look, the heart. That's why they showed me. Yeah, like look, I'm doing my best with to manage all this polarity and this and that. But wow, I love myself. I'm still accepting myself. I'm here just observing. I'm not judging myself and casting myself further energetically into lower frequencies. No, it's like, oh, this is coming up. What's going on inside of me that has pulled me in this direction for me to see this or to experience this or to say this or think this, or it's just like what's going on, what's this dialogue that I'm having with myself, you know, well, what and what can I use my free will based on the reflection I just did mindfully, what can I use my free will to choose to see instead, what can I use, what how can I shift my perception, how can I create a different experience for myself. This is the alchemy of it, right? Because what everything out here is just a feedback. But what you make it mean and what you take action towards putting out there is the alchemical point. That's the goodness, right? So anyway, that fifth law of cause and effect that says everything you experience is a product of what you put out there in terms of actions. That's a big one because what is it teaching you? A very big theme in the age of Aquarius, by the way, personal responsibility. It is teaching you to be responsible. Lots of people are learning right now that, you know, we've all of us, in some way or the other, have been giving our attention, our money, our resources, our time, our words, our bodies to movements, to institutions, to communities, to friends, family members, to doctrines, all sorts of stuff that have not been good for us or for anybody. And as a result, we are not off the hook for the things that we picked up in defense of these things or in allegiance to these things or whatever. Like, that's part of being down here. You take actions based on, and you it comes through your energy. It is expressed through you. Actions have been taken, words have been said, things have been typed, opportunities have been given and denied, whatever you've been, your energetic output, whatever it is, and what you also say to yourself, the thoughts and things you say to yourself, they came through you. And so that's why, again, self-concept. When you unplug from these false energies and narratives and these low self-worth things, these horrible things that are out there that are just degrading you and other people and introducing what's the word? Division, making enemies, all of this. All you're doing is trading in on a self-concept that is self-denying. Because the reality is source, self is one. It's integrative. It's love. It's connection. The whole where two or more are gathered, that's what source does when it's in its right mind. That's what we do when we are in our right mind. And you know this because check it out. You know how it goes. The guy at the hospital, no, maybe not the hospital, but the guy, yeah, maybe the guy whose wife just had a baby, he's buying a round of cigars and drinks for everyone in the bar. Like, because he's so happy and joyous. This is the natural state of joy that it does what? Bloop, it pours over. As I'm saying that, I'm just seeing her. It pours over. Source is connection. It's not out here with your policies and your this and that that's leading to division and persecution. It's out here with openness, honesty, exposure, truth, connection, integration, inclusion, belonging, freedom of thought, right? Loving action, reassurance, encouragement, bliss. These are things that Source is about. So if you are working with doctrines that are getting you to do other stuff that are opposite of that, and you're using that, or it's the source that you're using to be out of that alignment with those things, that's literally what it means to idolize and to make something else your God. It's anti-wholeness. Wholeness is provision, it's providence. It's, hey, so you want to try something new? Go for it. We'll still support you. In fact, when you're doing it, report back so I can know how it worked for you. Maybe I can also try it, and maybe then we can try it together. Wow. Wow, that was so easy. It's not, hey, you want to do something? How dare you do that? You're disrespecting the family. You're going against your community. This is I was like, this is unnationalistic of you. This is all God's gonna hate you. You're gonna punish you. You're gonna burn in hell. You're gonna all of that stuff. It's completely, it's completely the opposite of reality. And so you have to ask yourself, when I'm gently looking at something online or this video, what comes up for me? Immediately, what comes up for me? Pause and go sit down and talk about it with you. Look at it. In fact, look at the next card. Look at it. It's Eight of Swords. You ask yourself, what were you doing? Why? Why am I feeling this way? It's not about you just having to go and say, hey, you. Da-da-da-da. No, it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. I was in a peaceful state. That there was tranquility. It was balance. And now this is what's pulling me out here? And then tell yourself the story. Who do you think you see on that screen? Do you see an enemy? Do you see a criminal? Do you see somebody who's coming to disrupt your way of life? Do you see somebody who's offending your nation? Do you see somebody who is robbing you blind? Do you see somebody who's going to take your job? What are you seeing? And you have to get honest with yourself. Because guess what? That goes back up to, boom, your self-concept. So tell me today how you are feeling victimized, right? And the reason I'm saying all this, well, I'm channeling this, but also my guides are working with me through this. And if you follow this channel, remember a few weeks ago, I told you they were coming for this victim consciousness. And I said they want all the smoke, okay? They want you to look at your victim consciousness. This is not age of Aquarius. This is energy that is age of Pisces energy. Get rid of it. Completely get rid of it. Completely. Okay? And so this idea of, yeah, anyway. So let's finish up with the last two laws really quickly. So the next law is the sixth law of the universe, and that sixth law is the law of polarity and aligns with the sacral chakra, right? That law of polarity says anything in the universe exists in duality. Look at her, which makes sense because remember there's one. It's a all that is. And then we had this, we have this hypothetical space. I mean, this hypothetical perception. It's like it's not no longer reality because the reality is oneness. Now we have two, positive, negative. And we see this time and time again, male, female, up, down, in, out, pretty, ugly, rich, poor. All of that's just how it is. And you never should move towards like just be in one place. You can't be super good all the time because that's just that means you're just not paying attention to that other thing you're carrying because it is in your nature, as is everything in creation, to have a polarity, a dualistic situation. Same thing as you really don't want to just go dark, right? The reality is you're both. And the reality is, according to this law, both are needed in order to what? Keep the universe going. So it is this sacred dance that drives the universe. It's momentum. So when we're thinking about the cycles, we're going to have up, we're going to have down. When we're thinking about the vibrations, we're going to have high, we're going to have low, right? And that's okay. But the point is not to just get stuck in any one place. So when you see people struggling out there, and they're struggling in a lot of these movements, a lot of these just the zeitgeists that are happening a lot of times, yes, it's good to look at that and it's good to engage and this and that for the sake of learning. But remember, those are expressions of working it out. When you're balanced and you're no longer moving, like you don't need to learn that lesson anymore, you're not being taken up, like I've said in the past, you move off of it. That's why for some people, they're not struggling with religious stuff. They've alchemized that already. There's somebody out here just living their best life, basket weaving. They're not caught up in the stock market because they've alchemized within when their relationship to money and survival. There are some people out here, they're not struggling with their gender because they've alchemized something. It's just not their thing this lifetime. That's not something they are struggling with. There are people out here, they're not invested in the polemics of the day because inside they've alchemized things. These people are not even embroiled in these different wars. There are wars all over in so many places in society. But it doesn't mean that one person's war is everybody's war. You have to look at why something is big in your life because somebody else out there, that doesn't mean anything in their life. And in fact, when you look at their soul contract, it doesn't feature in their life because it's not a lesson they need to learn. And so anything you're experiencing in the world, you must zoom out. You must give yourself that space to observe. So you must unplug from the shock of every day, because that is the superimposition of things upon a lot of people that are not necessary for them. And if it is necessary for them to engage with for the sake of learning and for the sake of expression and for the sake of soul contract that they carry, it may not even need to be in that form. And in fact, in the form that's being impressed upon them, it may actually create more harm for them. When you learn to sit with yourself, work with that self-concept, and you go inside, you start to look at your soul contract, you start to get access to that kind of information. And you realize, oh, for example, I was here to help with that cause or that movement, but I was supposed to make art about it, not to pick up arms. And some other person maybe, oh, it was my role to pick up arms because I had a soul contract that I needed to go there and do this and stuff, but I chose not to work on that and I chose to go do something else here instead, right? You have to understand everybody has different realities for themselves because they're so unique. We're just sharing a common space. And so the point is that you have to, in this age of Aquarius, stop looking outside of yourself and equating yourself like this one mass thing that is age of Pisces, where the idea was to capture a lot of people's minds, pull them out of themselves so that they can what? Follow. Follow, give their time, give their money, give their obedience, give their life, all sorts of stuff. And for the promise of what? Something that they could sit in their room and do 5 minutes a day and make a lot more headway in many ways, and that is connect with God. God is within. Source is within you. That's the learning of Age of Aquarius. Last law, we got 5 minutes. Last law is the seventh law, law of generation. It has other words, but the seventh law says that everything has a cycle of birth and re-death. We know this energy can neither be created nor destroyed because everything is. It's just shifting, right? And so when you understand that the second law says everything is polarity, right? It's needed to generate, to give energy, to keep everything going, right? But this law of generation, this seventh law corresponding to the root chakra, says that listen, everything is going to continue to be to have a cycle of birth and death and transition and whatnot. And so it's natural for civilizations to come up and then go down. It's natural for people to live on the planet and then transition to spirit. It's natural for technologies to come in and transform and be used in different ways, right? It's natural to have this dance with the cycles. So anyway, 4 minutes. Hopefully this will fit on Instagram. So I'm going to do one more part, and that last part is going to be talking about how you can practically use these 7 laws to be a boss on this planet. In other words, to recognize and get into alignment with your God within, source within, the spark of the divine, the inner child, whatever you want to call it, your power source. You know, that thing that many beings want to use humans for. I'm just going to put it that way. But, you know, also that thing, that light within you, that is that energy, that frequency of creation. There's so many, you know, people who want to control you would love to have you put yourself towards. No, we want to get that energy back for ourselves so you can harness it for what? Creativity and for reals, life living. All right. So anyway, come join me for part 3 and be right back.